my financial safety was best kept in my hands versus the hands of a 9-to-5 job. Meaning I didn't want all of my wealth, my stocks, my retirement, my ability to buy a house or not buy a house to be beholden on a 9-to-5 job. I wanted that to be up to me. Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to talk about why you have not been able to quit your job yet and become a full-time entrepreneur. And I'm going to be sharing some of the secrets that I used to go from a social worker making $2,500 a month to a full-time entrepreneur now making over $100K a month. And so I started off literally in debt. My self-esteem and my self-confidence was very, very low. I had no idea about entrepreneurship. It was not discussed in my kitchen table growing up, especially as a Black woman. I can't see myself not being an entrepreneur, and it single-handedly saved my life and changed my life. But I didn't naturally start off this way. It's not like I woke up with a whole bunch of drive or woke up with a whole bunch of ambition. I literally had to start from scratch and build my belief in myself to become a full-time entrepreneur, brick by brick, and this video is going to save you a lot of struggle. So the first thing I had to realize when it came to actually growing my business and having the mindset of being a full-time entrepreneur was that my job was not going to solve my problems. My job was not going to give me financial security. My job was never going to make me happy. My job was never going to give me the wealth that I needed. Even if that's what was sold to me by my parents and by past generations, that's not what was going to work in the 21st century anymore. From this really young age, from school, from our family, from all these different places, we're taught if you just work hard, you'll be okay and you'll be safe. And don't get me wrong, like that used to work. That used to be the case. Our parents got a job, a long-term job. My stepdad worked for the military. He worked in the army. My mom was a teacher. Those were very stable, traditional careers. And yes, they were okay. They made it. But I realized when I got my master's degree that that was not the case. I started off making $2,500 a month with a master's degree. And then the next bracket from there was like $2,800 a month. And then the next bracket from there was like $3,200 a month. And I said, how am I going to get out of 6 figures of student loan debt? How am I actually going to be able to afford a home? I was doing the math and I was like, oh, this is not going to work, right? And then even if I pivoted, I became a lawyer, I became somebody who worked in tech, I realized that I'm still going to be in the rat race of working for somebody for the rest of my life without having time freedom, financial freedom, and always bound to this desk. And that's when I realized that jobs are going to keep me stuck in this cycle. So it's not about just pivoting careers or getting another job. It's actually that I knew I need to become an entrepreneur and there was no other option. Optionality is one of the main ways that people stay stuck side hustling forever or just dreaming of entrepreneurship and never doing it. And it's because they're just viewing everything as an option. Like, oh, I don't have to. I could go get another job. But when I removed that option from myself, I realized that getting another job was not going to fix the long-term problems. I knew I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom one day. I knew that I wanted to be able to control my own time. I knew that I wanted to be able to grow a business that could support myself and future generations to come. The second thing that helped me shift my mindset from an employee to an entrepreneur was realizing that I can build a business on part-time hours. So say you're gung-ho, you're like, yes, I know I need to go quit my job. I know I need to become a full-time entrepreneur. I know that's the only ticket to wealth and freedom. Then the second part is realizing, okay, well, I have this job that's currently paying my bills. How am I supposed to actually grow a business? And I realized that I can grow a business on part-time hours. That what if it doesn't require 40 hours of work to create a 40-hour a work salary, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. So I learned this lesson when I signed one client that matched my entire Duke salary. And so I was making $2,500 a month as a social worker at Duke University, and then one client paid me that full amount that I would have made an entire month working as a social worker, paid me that in one payment. And I was like, wait a minute. Time actually has nothing to do with entrepreneurship. Again, we're so caught up in all these 40-hour-a-week structures and 40-hour-a-week systems when there is no schedule as an entrepreneur. You can make unlimited amount of money with 5 hours, 10 hours, and you can scale from there. I use this mindset to help me create 300K with a 9-to-5 job, where I had group programs, where I also was charging high ticket one-on-one coaching, where I was spending the same 1 to 2 hours of time, but making $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 within that same amount of time. And how exactly I did this was the one thing method that I teach all my clients. And so I just did one thing in the morning and then one thing in the evening. So typically before my 9-to-5 job, I would create content on social media to attract clients. And then in the afternoons or evenings, I would do my calls. I would either have sales calls or I would have coaching calls. And again, I realized, wait a minute, 1 hour of my time can create $5,000, $2,000, $3,000, $15,000 versus a couple $100 in my 9-to-5 job. So then the last thing that I learned and the last thing that I decided was that my financial safety was best kept in my hands versus the hands of a 9-to-5 job. Meaning I didn't want all of my wealth, my stocks, my retirement, my ability to buy a house or not buy a house to be beholden on a 9-to-5 job. I wanted that to be up to me. And so we're sold this idea that entrepreneurship is so risky and entrepreneurship is so challenging and entrepreneurship is so difficult, when I think it's the complete opposite. I think it's more challenging and hard and difficult when it's in a 9-to-5 job and it's not within your control. And you can only go on so many job interviews and you can only ask for so many promotions. People are just going to say no to you. But in entrepreneurship, people can say no to you, but you can say yes to yourself over and over and over again. You can control all of your financial stability. You can control all of your financial income. You can control all of it. So I remember that I had to go get a root canal at the dentist, and I was side hustling at the time. I was still working at my 9-to-5 job, and the money from my 9-to-5 job was already spent, right? Like it was already gone, but I needed this procedure done. I was in so much pain. And so instead of just waiting for my 9-to-5 job to pay me again, but I still didn't even have enough money because that money was already accounted for the next month, I decided to just go sign a client. And I was able to make the $1,000 that I needed to go get the root canal. I was able to make that in my business. And so this is the power of having your financial security and your financial safety in your hands and not in the hands of your 9-to-5 job. When you start to really unpack and unwind all the things that we were told about entrepreneurship and all the things that we're told about being an employee, when you really start to unpack that, you'll see that, wait a minute, entrepreneurship is actually the thing that people gatekeep. It's the secret to the universe. And my thing as a Black woman too is white men do it. White men start businesses all the time. And said, where can we as women of color get all of the freedom that they've been able to create for ourselves? It's time for us to create it next. So thank you so much for watching this video. Follow us on social media and I'll see you in the next one.